sitting out there, and this is during like late July, August, and I don't know, now you talk about hot here, but in Georgia it was hot and humid and stuff. But I saw a dog chasing a rabbit, both of them was walking out hot. But anyway, I was sitting up there underneath the shed and stuff. I was sitting there underneath the shed, and they got the fan on me. The trainers bringing me water, and I was watching my teammates out in that hot sun practice. And every now and then one of them was, "Herschel, you doing all right? How's your, are you okay?" And I started thinking, these guys are not getting all these articles written about them for Heisman Trophy. They're not getting all this stuff done and All-American. And they're worrying about me. And I realized that I've been so selfish. I've been so selfish thinking about, Herschel want to go do this, Herschel want to go do that, I don't want to do this. I said, you know what, I'm not going to leave my family. I'm going to stay here. These guys are my family. That's who I'm going to stay with. So I stayed there. And now I win the Heisman Trophy. But now I feel guilty because I don't know if I deserve the Heisman Trophy. So that's the year of John Elway, Dan Marino, Anthony Carter. And if you follow tweets or whatever, Eric Dixon tweeted, 6 months ago that he should have won the Heisman Trophy. The year I won the Heisman Trophy. So I tweeted back to him. We can fight about it. More, but anyway, have another great year, and then this USFL thing came. Flip the coin, go to the USFL, go into the NFL. It came, go to the USFL. So I fly out to New York. That's where Donald Trump comes into my life. People don't know I started out with Donald Trump. I knew Donald before he became the Donald. Little Bonk and Little Donald and I brought them up. They stayed with me during the summer and stuff. So I was there with Donald for 3 years and stuff. And then Donald decided to do something else, and the league went on and stuff. And I remember Charlie Steiner from ESPN interviewing me in my home in New Jersey. And Charlie Steiner said, "Herschel, where would you like to go play in the NFL?" And I said, "Mr. Steiner, I don't really watch football." I said, "But my brothers, they love the Dallas Cowboys." And he said, "I wasn't going to draft you. They got Tony Dorsett." I said, "You didn't ask me who was going to draft me. You asked me where I would go play." And he almost laughed in my face. That wasn't taking you. And he walked out. 5 minutes after the door closed, my phone rang. "Herschel, this is Tex Schramm from the Dallas Cowboys. We just drafted you to the Dallas Cowboys." And I called to Dallas, and now let me tell you what. I'm in the finest place. I'm with the finest coach I feel ever coached football, Tom Landry. This man was more than a coach. He was a good man. I'm there with Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett was a guy that played every play. Tough little kid, 195 pounds, quick as anything. I'm there. Y'all heard of Ray Lewis. All you young people heard of. Let me tell you what. Randy White, I watched him play with a broken hand, a dislocated toe, a dislocated shoulder in a game, and have 2 sacks. MVP of the game. You ask a guy to play with a hangnail today, he ain't playing nothing. Let me tell you what, I played with these guys, Ed Too Tall Jones. These are legendary guys. I played with them and stuff, and then all of a sudden, after being there for 3 years, I hear someone from Arkansas is going to come in and buy the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm thinking, Arkansas? Ain't nobody got no money in Arkansas. You know, there chickens in Walmart. Nobody coming to buy the Cowboys. And all of a sudden, I'm wrong because somebody by the name of Jerry Jones comes to Dallas and buys the Dallas Cowboys, and they fire Coach Landry. They bring in this guy called Jimmy Johnson. So now I'm just a player and go off to the training camp out in Thousand Oaks, California with the new Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. I'm there for 5 weeks with the new Dallas Cowboys and stuff. Everything is going well, I thought. We get back to Dallas, getting ready for the regular season, a week out before the season started. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I remember it was 4 o'clock because I watched Judge Judy at 4 o'clock, and I don't miss Judge Judy for nobody. And my phone rang at 4 o'clock. And it was Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy said, "Herschel, can you come over to see me for a moment?" And I remember thinking, you didn't TiVo back then, but you had a big old cassette tape that I'm going to record Judge Judy, and I'm going to go see Jimmy Johnson. I put my tape in, got in my car, started driving over to the center to see Jimmy Johnson. But what was weird is I was known around the league as what you call a cleaner. Not like a mafia cleaner, but a cleaner in the NFL is a player that was known that if anyone is having trouble, like marital trouble, having trouble with whatever, they would call me, and I'd come in and I'd talk to the player. I'd try to help him out, I'd try to help him to get things together and stuff. So I was going down the list, who I felt could be in trouble at that time. I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going down and trying to think of the players and stuff. And I remember getting to the complex, walking into Coach Landry's old office, and his secretary was crying. And then my thought goes to who may have gotten killed. As I walked into Coach Landry's old office, Jerry Jones was standing over by the window. Jimmy Johnson was behind the desk. As soon as I walked in, Jimmy Johnson jumped up. He said, Herschel, we traded you to Minnesota. What do you think? Me? I didn't shake his hand. I said, I'm going to go outside. I didn't think about this. I turned around and I was walking outside, and Coach Landry's secretary said, are you okay? I said, no, I'm fine. I walked out into the parking lot, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go home. I got in my car, and I went home. I got home and said, what do they want? I said, Jerry just told me they traded me to Minnesota. She said, they can't trade you to Minnesota because you have no trade clause in your contract. I was the first player ever in the NFL to have no trade clause in my contract. So I called my agent and said the same thing. I'll be on the plane tomorrow morning. Peter flew into Dallas. Got into Dallas, the same thing happened. He walked into Jimmy's office. Jimmy said, Peter, we traded Herschel to Minnesota. What do you think? Peter said, have you looked at Herschel's contract? Well, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson never looked at my contract, so they happened to go through the files to find my contract. He opened it up, and at the bottom of my contract it says, Herschel Walker could not be traded unless he consents to the trade. And do y'all know what? Herschel Walker ain't going to Minnesota because it's cold. Herschel Walker hates cold weather. So I'm not going to Minnesota, so I don't even go to Minnesota. I don't even talk to them no more about Minnesota. I'm in Dallas. I played 5 games with the Dallas Cowboys. And then Mike Lynn called up Jerry Jones and said, Jerry, if you do not get Herschel, Minnesota, we're going to sue the Dallas Cowboys. And we're going to own a piece of it. So Jerry went to my agent, Peter. Peter, what do we need to do to get Herschel, Minnesota? So Peter met her, Sandy and myself in Los Angeles. Jerry wanted to know what did he need to do to get you guys in Minnesota. He said, Peter, we're not going to Minnesota. Jerry want to know what they need to do. Okay, then we'll tell them what they need to do. We started thinking of all this junk that we really didn't want, but we're going to let Jerry know that we're not going to Minnesota. I want a house every year. I play football. I want a brand new car, 2 brand new cars every year. I play football. I want to use Jerry Jones' plane for a year. And Jimmy and Peter said, Herschel, he can give you all that stuff. I said, Peter, you didn't ask me what he was giving me. You asked me what I wanted. That's what I want to go to Minnesota. He goes, I want a bass boat then. I said, put it on the list. This about this thick. We went over to the field season across the street. Jerry Jones ran up to Peter in the lobby. Jerry said, what do we need to do to get Herschel in Minnesota? And Peter said, joking. Herschel said, if you agree to this here, agree in Minnesota. Jerry Jones grabbed at this, never looked at it, signed it, got someone to witness it. And Peter said, are you serious? He said, yes. And Peter got in the car, came back to the house. Jerry agreed to everything. And I went, what? Where the heck is Minnesota at? Like, what do they do in Minnesota? But anyway, now, my words, so now I take Jerry Jones' plane and I fly up to Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota. Let me tell you what, Minnesota is a hidden secret. That is absolutely one of the best places I've ever lived in my life. Terrible football team, great place to live. I was in a place where the coaches literally didn't like, I was in Minnesota for 3 years. All the coaches may have said 20 words to me in the 3 years I was in Minnesota. But they had every reason not to like me. Let me tell you the reason why. The coaches never knew that was a trade. They happened to be in a meeting on Wednesday afternoon getting ready for the Green Bay Packers. A trainer walked into the meeting and asked 7 of their starters to leave the room. And the coach said, what's going on? What's going on? And they said, well, they just been traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And you also lost 6 draft picks. Coach said, wow, what do we get for that? Are you going to get Herschel Walker? And the coach wasn't happy with that. They didn't talk to me at all. So I'm in Minnesota for 3 years and stuff. You know, I love the people. I told people, if ever I run for office, I can carry the state of Minnesota because people love me. The team just doesn't like me that much. But anyway, so now I'm in Minnesota. My contract is up. And they said, what are you going to do next? I said, you know, Reggie White was a good friend of mine. Reggie White was from Tennessee. Reggie White was known as the minister of defense. I don't know if any of you know who Reggie White is or was, but let me tell you what, that's the best defensive lineman ever to play football. And that's no joke. I'm talking today, in the past, you Google Reggie White, that guy was awesome. So I said, I'm going to go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia Eagles. So So I got this contract from the Philadelphia Eagles and went to Philadelphia. But I'm gonna tell y'all another secret. Ain't no love in Philly. That is a tough place to play football. Well, they do snowballs with Santa Claus with batteries in them. That is a tough place to play football. They have a courtroom in the bottom of the stadium, but they have trials after games. And they built a new stadium and built a courtroom in the bottom of that new stadium. Those people fight all the time. So Reggie decided after 3 years to up and leave and go to Green Bay. And I remember thinking, green and gold? I'm not good looking in green and gold. Green Bay and stuff. And I'm like, no, why don't I go back to New York? Because I started with in New York. Why don't I go back to the Giants? But I didn't flip a coin. I just did that my own fault and stuff. It wasn't that a good thing because that was a terrible decision. I went to the Giants. I'm like, gee, this is awful. And then I think about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sitting in my home in New Jersey. I remember 5 o'clock because Love Connection was on. 5 o'clock. And it was on TBS. But anyway, I was watching Love Connection and my phone rang. It was Jerry Jones. And Jerry said, Herschel, you have any animosity towards the Dallas Cowboys? Jerry, I love the Dallas Cowboys. You guys gave me a lot of money and stuff. He said, how would you like to come back to the Dallas Cowboys? So I love to come back to the Dallas Cowboys. So now I take Jerry Jones' plane and fly back to back in Dallas in the house that Jerry bought for me and stuff. And I had a great time because I'm there with, I was there when Troy came in and Mike was up there with Emmett and, was winning, beating everybody and stuff until something happened. And what happened is, I was lining up to run this route in training camp against this kid from the Oakland Raiders. And this kid looked at me and he said, hello, Mr. Walker, how you doing? And I remember looking at him and I go, Anthony? It was Anthony Dorsett, Tony Dorsett's son. And I remember thinking, I remember he was a little kid and I was wrestling with him on the floor and stuff. And now he's playing in the league and I played with the dad and I was playing against the kid and stuff. And we were playing the Washington Redskins, Ron Springer's son. Oh, Mr. Walker, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm like, wait a minute. I played against his dad and I'm playing against John Casey and Carolina Panthers. Even in my locker room, I would walk in during the morning, people would go, Mr. Walker, how are you doing? I'm like, crap, am I getting old? I'm Mr. Walker, so I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, whoa. And then I said, I got to get out of this football thing. But what was weird when I was getting out of football, Cindy was telling me, so weird, but I thought Cindy was losing her mind. Like, what's the matter with her? She's kind of weird and stuff until something happened. What happened is, this guy was going to deliver me something. He was going to deliver me something and he'll call me. He said, Herschel, you're going to be home on Monday. And I said, yes, sir, I'll be there. He said, I'll bring the package. I'll be there on Monday about 4. I said, okay, then I'll stay home, cancel everything. 4 o'clock I come. Guy would call, would show up and stuff. And he called me a couple of days later. I'm sorry, Dad, I had excuses in the world why I didn't do it. Make another date with me. He canceled those dates up until a month and a half. They got to the point I thought the guy wasn't coming. And after that, this guy happened to show up in Arlington, Texas. I'm living in Irving, Texas. That's 25 miles away. But he didn't even call to tell me he was coming to town. Some guy from the service station called me. So, Herschel, you have a gentleman here to deliver you something. What are you going to do with it? I'm a little mad. I remember grabbing my gun because I worked with law enforcement. I grabbed my gun. I'm going to kill this dude. Seriously, I meant that. But I'm going to kill him. I put my gun in my holster. I got in my car. I just got a 183 and I took off racing toward where this guy was at. And then I'm driving like a mad person. I remember something on one of my shoulders. I can hear these voices saying, Herschel, people are going to quit disrespecting you. So people are going to learn who you are. So I was like, your parents didn't raise you like that. Usually did. But these voices started going off in my head. I thought I was losing my mind. And as I got closer and closer to this guy's car, I started to pray. I said, Lord, I'm going to do something stupid right now. I need your help. I need some help. And I drove up behind this guy's truck. And I remember jumping out of his truck, walking up like this. And as I was walking to his truck, there was a sign on the back of his truck that said, Honk, you love Jesus. And it calmed me down. I went back to Cindy, and I said, I had a problem with stuff. She said, I know you did. So what do you mean? She said, I've been trying to tell you that all the time. She said, sometimes you just pace the floor like a cage lion. She said, sometimes I try to talk to you, you give me a look like you were hurt. So I'm a little scared. Whoa. Now, this lady, I love her more than I love myself, and she scared me. And I said, I need to get some help. So, being a Christian, the first thing we did was return to the church. We were attending a church there in Irving, Texas. I can't give you the name of the church, but the church is in Hackberry Creek. It's huge. It's white, got a big old staple on it. But I tell the preacher, he tell the whole congregation. Now they decided they're going to do exorcism. I remember thinking, shoot, I saw that movie, she got buried in that movie, man, I ain't better too. Anyway, I can't say the name of the church, but it's in Irving, Texas, in Hackberry Creek. It's huge, it's not big, big white church. Anyway, so I decided I'm going to go in this room with 12 other members. Now, this not that long ago. They started chanting all this crazy stuff. And I remember looking at the singer saying, you know what? Let's get out of here. These people are crazy. My mom, I think I lost my mind to be here with these crazy people. We got up, we walked out of the church, and I remember walking out of the church, and all of a sudden I called up Pastor Tony Evans at Oak Hill Bible Fellowship. I called up Pastor Evans, he came to my house, and he prayed with me. And he also said, Herschel, being Christians sometimes, we think we can just pray, and it just happens. So it doesn't work like that. So you still got to get it, you got to do something. So we started looking around for somebody for help for me, and we found this doctor by the name of Jerry Mangasa. Jerry was from Africa. Jerry was his doctor, and he started listening to what was going on with me, and he said, Herschel, it sounds like you have something what we call DID. I said, what is that? You have dissociative identity disorder. So what is that? You have multiple personality. Civil? And this doctor's crazy. I'm like, he's an actor. Heck, you know, about anything. I'm like, but he started going down with his symptoms, and it was looking right at me. And all of a sudden, he said, Herschel, don't you journal? I said, yeah, I write all the time. So I said, anybody that's not a little kid. I said, why don't you read some of that? So I remember asking my mom, because she's a pack rat, she keep everything. Seen some of the stuff I've been like, and it freaked me out when I started reading. So this kid that was always winning stuff, this kid that was always doing all these great things, only wrote about death, only wrote about killing, only wrote about hurt. And I went, whoa, I got a problem. Guys, I need to go to the hospital. You know, sometimes people know all my glory, but they don't know my story, so I'm going to give you something that's good. Y'all need to stay with me here now, because what happened is I decided I want to go to the hospital. And I just found out, I call it a mental hospital. But, you know, some of the people in WIC told me, Herschel, no, you got to be politically correct as a behavior health hospital. Same thing. Anyway, I decided to check into this. They found this state hospital out of California for me to go to. Oh, you know what? Do not go to a state hospital. Yeah, that's the wrong place. Do not go to a state hospital. But let me tell you what, I went into the state hospital, and I was sitting in this group session, and I was listening to some of those people, and I was like, whoa, these people here are crazy right here. Seriously, I'm like, these people are nuts. And I started, you know, I had a personality that can lie, but he can lie so well, I forgot where I was. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell these people who I am, that they get out of this thing, decide to come visit me. These people around me and stuff, and I'm like, I lied to them and stuff, until something happened. That was a young lady that was in my session, and she used to tell me her name was Mary. So I knew her name Mary. So one morning, we walked through the hallway. I said, good morning, Mary, how you doing? She turned to me, my name is Joan. And the doctor said, Mary just told me her name is Joan. He said, okay, what's going on? So she's going through the same thing you're going through. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, her husband was abusing her. So he put her in the hospital a couple of times. So she reached out for help from the local law enforcement. Said they didn't do anything. They didn't help her out. Said she reached out from family members to help her out and stuff. Said they didn't do anything either. Then all of a sudden she decided to become this married person that can handle male figure. She ended up hurting her husband, putting him in the hospital. He filed a complaint against her, and the judge put her in here. And it hit me for the first time that we all fall short of the glory of God. But we get so ashamed of who we are sometimes. So now, you remember in Forrest Gump? You remember Forrest Gump, that guy at Forrest, have you found Jesus? Forrest, I didn't know he was missing. And I said, that's what happened in our life sometimes. We forget that we have a platform, that we have our Lord DNA. You know, I was brought up in the church, but not that I lost the church, but what happened is I decided to live on Herschel's side and not God's side. So then I decided, you know, instead of lying, why don't I be honest? I'll be honest and tell you something. Herschel Walker that won the Heisman Trophy, been on the Olympic team, won everything you can win. Do y'all know I used to play Russian roulette? And people used to say, you trying to kill you? I said, no. I love competition. If you're going to compete against me, my thing is you got to put that to your head. You be scared. I put it to my head and pull the trigger. I didn't know I lost on Wall Street. I started getting help. I didn't know that Herschel was something that's wrong. Herschel Walker that won all these titles, that kissed babies and all that. I had an ex-wife that I love more than I love myself. Herschel, he was threatening me sometimes. going. She was scared. I didn't know it until I got into the hospital, so that we did it. Something was wrong. Then I started learning, what is wrong with you? Well, what is wrong is you got beat up. Everyone told you you wasn't good enough. Everyone had nothing to do with you. So you put these binders on, and you became this guy that didn't have no pain. You can read about this. My freshman year, national championship game, I dislocated my shoulder the first play in the game against Notre Dame. Top of my shoulder was here. And then I was on the sideline, and the trainer said, Herschel, you can't play no more, it's over. And I said, why is it over? They said, your shoulders is out of place. I said, what? That means, out of place means you can put back. They said, it takes surgery to put that back in. The surgery didn't take it out. And you can read this, I laid on the sideline, they put a foot here, one here, they popped my shoulder back in place, and I shook it off. I said, let's go. Now I remember taking my wisdom teeth out the night. I didn't cry and stuff, so then I was like, whoa. So that's the Herschel Walker. Because I was dealing with all this pain or this anger, people telling me I'm not good enough. People tell me I'm not worthy. I even had Coach Dugan, I don't know whether that was a motivation speech. First you can't play at the University of Georgia. But I went out and played and did all those things. Now I see the light. So now I see what's going on. Like faith. You know what faith is? You ever watch a stupid movie late at night, hoping it's gonna get better, but don't get better, but keep watching it anyway? The other night I was watching something called Fright Night. It's Fright Night or Freak Night. It's about some stupid night. But anyway, it's about vampires. Now I don't know, vampires are some cool people. I don't know if you know. I don't know if y'all know about vampires, don't you? But anyway, a werewolf can kill a vampire. Y'all know that? Y'all need to stay with me because this is good. But anyway, this about this vampire that was up in these kids' attic. It was up in these kids' attic. These kids were scared to go upstairs and stuff because the vampire was there. But this how stupid this movie is. Because this is 1:30 in the morning. I'm watching my TV. Of these kids watching their TV or a vampire killer on their TV because there was a vampire in the attic. But they win this contest to bring this vampire killer who's nicer to their home to get rid of this vampire. Well, what was so funny is this vampire killer, he got some of the right tools because, if you got vampires, you're around vampires, you need holy water. So you need to get some holy water, that works, and the cross. And I'm not sure what their neck is, garlic does. I'm not sure what that does. But anyway, get that. That'll work too. But anyway, as they're walking through the house with this holy water, this guy's blessing the house. He's blessing the house and stuff. Then all of a sudden they walked upstairs, and this vampire floated from the ceiling, looking good in the black suit. I remember thinking, shoot, I go home, somebody floats my suit, I'm going to get out of that house haunted or somewhere. Anyway, this vampire floated from the ceiling, and this guy took this holy water, threw it on his forehead, he covered his eyes. Then he took his hand away. He said, that's not going to work. He took the cross and put it on the vampire forehead. Now the vampire burned. He said, that's not going to work unless you have faith. And that's the way it is. You got to have faith. You got to grab a big shark. You got to know that you can get up. And you can get up no matter how many times you get knocked down. You can get back up. I watch, and you can tell I watch a lot of television late at night, but I was watching The Predator in New York. It's a great movie. Y'all gotta watch this. Danny Glover's in it. But listen to this. What happened was, the Predator's in New York. Y'all know who the Predator is? Predator is the guy with dreadlocks, about 7 feet tall, got all these gadgets and stuff that he can kill everybody. But he's in New York just killing everybody. And Danny Glover's a detective. But the Predator killed all Danny Glover men around him and stuff, and then something happened that was real strong. What happened is, the Predator and Danny Glover meet up in this little bit of room. And I remember thinking, oh man, you've been in trouble now, Danny, because the Predator got this gadget that he can just hit buttons and stuff just happens from everywhere. And the Predator is sitting there, and Danny Glover and this Predator get in this fight. Well, what's so funny about this fight is that in this fight, this Predator is wearing him out. Danny Glover can't do anything. He's just bleeding, he's hurt and stuff. And the Predator takes his blade, I don't know where this blade comes from, but he just uses it like a toothpick and just whacking Danny Glover up, and all of a sudden this blade sticks in the wall. The Predator uses it with one hand, and Danny Glover goes over, and he barely can carry this blade with 2 hands, but he takes his blade, and he ends up killing the Predator. Did y'all see this? I want to see this movie. Anyway, he killed this Predator, and he is bleeding, he is sweating, he is just so tired, and he put this blade down, and he sits against the wall, and all of a sudden this music starts. And I don't know why music starts with something about to happen. You ever notice that? But as music starts and stuff, and all of a sudden, another Predator comes out of the wall. And then there comes another one, and another one. All of a sudden, there are 6 of them in the room with one Danny Glover. Well, what was so strong and what was so great is just like in our life. Danny Glover, who's tired, bleeding, and just barely got by one, looked up and got to his feet. And he picked his blade up. And he said, who's me? And stuff. And I said, that's what I like this all the time. Sometimes you don't think you can make it. Sometimes you can be in a place that you don't think you can go anymore. But I'm telling you from the great words of Ric Flair from WWF, we all are twisted, steel, and sex appeal because we have the DNA of all of the Lord Jesus. So you got to always get up, no matter how hard it is sometimes, no matter how dark it gets sometimes. You got to know that you are somebody, that you can do it, that you can make it, no matter how scary it gets. Because I make it. You know, you ever, I tell you what's so great. You ever seen this, I got a 14-year-old little boy, loving to death. His name is Christian Alexander. He don't think Dad's too cool. I'm like, dude, Dad's very cool. Dad, Christian used to love to watch all these cartoons. You know, little kids teaches you stuff all the time. And what Christian taught me is I was watching this cartoon called Barnyard. If you got kids, you have to have seen this. Called Barnyard, where this cow is protecting the barnyard from all the coyotes and the wolves that come down and eat the chickens and all that out of the barnyard. This cow is protecting it. Well, what was funny about it is he has his son that's a goof off that always want to hang out with his buddies and stuff, and the dad is trying to teach his son, honor and respect and all this, but the son is goofing off all the time. Well, that day, the dad was hearing all these voices in the distance of coyotes and wolves and stuff, and he told his son, he said, son, I'm going to need you tonight. He said, I'm going to need you because I think there's something going to happen tonight. He said, so about 6:37, can you come? Because I think I'm going to need you to help me tonight. Well, the son was a goofball. The son just went off with his friends. 6:37, the son wasn't there. About 7:45, the coyotes and wolves started coming down to get the chickens. And the dad started this huge fight with all of them. The dad is just fighting, defending the barnyard. His son is over goofed off, and then his son heard the ruckus, and he takes off running toward where the dad was at. Where the dad did it, he had a good fight. The dad ran them all off, but the dad was hurt so bad, and he was about to leave. And as the dad was laying there about to leave and stuff, the dad looked up toward the son, and the son is crying, and the dad said, hey, let me tell you something. He said, a big man stands up for himself, but a big man stands up for others. So it's not about you. It's about who you are, because we're here, right? So you are so important. You know, for a long time, my mom has a tradition, she still has it, that when we sit down at holiday dinners, she asks us all the time to say what you didn't like about today. No matter what you say, no one can ever come back and say anything about it. And then you go around the table again and you say what you did like about today. Well, years ago, when the last thing I did was sing a song. For years, there was a song I used to sing, and I never knew what it was. And I don't even know where I got it from. It used to go like, everybody wants them for somebody else. Nobody wants them for me. Well, everybody thinks about somebody else. Nobody thinks about me. When the time goes around me to lay down and die, I'm going to hire someone so they can cry. And my mother used to say, where are you getting an awful song like that at? But that's where I felt. Even though I was doing all those great things, no one ever saw it. But that's exactly how I felt. Until I went to get help, and started seeing the light again. And all of a sudden the song I sing today is, joy is mine, joy is mine, joy today is mine. I've told Satan, get me behind. Joy today is mine. Because today I'm free again. So I'm living proof that if you keep getting up, those days will be as dark. But I can tell you, keep grabbing that shovel. So let me tell you, there's a lot of crap going to be around. But that's life. Life's life. But that's what makes life so joyful. I'm going to leave you with one thing. I heard this story about this man that loved baseball. He loved baseball so much, and he had gotten old, He's in the hospital bed about to leave to go meet his maker. And his buddy came in and said, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? I said, what can I do for you? Can you let me know if there's baseball in heaven? That's a strange request if I can. Got past his work. And all of a sudden, the other guy was working in his backyard one afternoon, and on a sunny day, this cloud of smoke started coming towards him. And he knew it had to be his friend that was going off there. He ran up to this cloud of smoke and says, is there baseball in heaven? Is there baseball in heaven? And the cloud of smoke said, well, I got some good and bad news. I don't care about that. Is there baseball in heaven? So the good news is there is baseball in heaven. And the guy said, yes. So the bad news is you're pitching tomorrow. We don't need to put anything on. That if you're hurt, there's no shame in this for him. If you have a family member hurting, there's no shame in heaven. If you have a friend that's hurting, there's no shame to go ahead. Because, I do. And I'll tell you today, Herschel Walker spent time at a mental hospital. Things I'm doing. I run my own company. 900 employees. Hey, Herschel Walker had a problem. I work with Ms. Obama. I'm flying around with her. Herschel Walker had a problem. I'm in Congress every other day almost. I don't like him, but I'm there. So there's no shame. Hey, I admire all you. That's a price you paid. And the price you paid for me. I say, God bless you. I love you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you. Thank you. We got a few minutes if you guys want to ask me any questions. I've done everything. I do so many crazy things. You may not like my answer because football players are bound to say something stupid. Gotta remember that. But if y'all have any questions, I can try to answer. And they can be difficult questions. Like I said, you may not like the answer, but that's okay. Anyone have a question? Yes, sir.
What's your favorite TV show right now?
Judge Judy. She comes on at 4 o'clock in Texas and stuff, and Judge Judy, that's where I got my law degree from. People know I was going to law school. I got accepted into law school, but God didn't call me to do that. So, but I don't know why Judge Judy and Law and Order. I'll tell you all a funny story about Law and Order. I've watched Law and Order forever, and I always wanted to be on Law and Order. But being a football player, no one ever asked me to be on Law and Order. I started doing this MMA stuff, and do you know the people from Special Victim or whatever called me, I'm out in California, called me in to play a part on the Special Victim, that crime, the mine, whatever it was. And I went into the room and stuff, and I brought some of my friends, so I wouldn't pretend I had a lot of people with me. But anyway, I go into this room and they said, Mr. Walker, we got your part. Said we wrote you in as a cop. I said, no, I don't want to be a cop. I've been wanting to be on this show for years, and I'm up there saying, no, I don't want to be a cop. They said, what do you mean? I said, I want to be a bad guy. And one of the producers said, it really takes skills. This is exactly what he said. It really takes skills to play a bad guy. And a show that I've been wanting to be on forever. I said, you know what? I said, I want to be a bad guy. I'd rather not take it forward. That's true. I got up and walked out of this meeting. I'm sure I've been wanting to be on for years because they won't let me play a bad guy. Well, 2 weeks later, they called me back in. Well, Mr. Walker, you got your part of the bad guy. Well, I've been doing this MMA fighting. I'm a prima donna. I go, well, you know what? I just don't want to be a bad guy. I want to be a serial killer. This guy,